like big, audacious, hairy goal, or whatever the word for it is like, I want to create 100 millionaires. Like, that's my goal. Like, that's legit. And I'm on the path to do that. I've done that a couple of times already. I've helped a lot of people. My goal is 100 millionaires.
You're listening to the Real FI Podcast, where we discuss time-tested tricks, techniques, and strategies for pursuing financial independence today, so that we can enjoy a better tomorrow. A better tomorrow. Financial independence isn't about getting rich quick. It's about cultivating a foundation to grow financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Let's figure out how to kick the 9 to 5. Here are your hosts, Patrick and James.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to the Real FI Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McGrath, with my co-host, James Rippion. How's it going today, James?
Going well, man. Glad to be here. I think we're going to have a great guest here. He's going to bring some power to us. We're going to uncover a lot of tips, nuggets, reaching FI. So I'm excited to get into it.
All right. Well, guess who today's guest is? It is none other than Felipe Mejia. How's it going,
I need to
Felipe?
have intro music, Patrick. I need to have like, dun, 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 dun. You know, I'm talking about like Pitbull or something. That'd be great.
Oh, man, that would be
do that
insane. Well, you know, I think just the name is an intro music enough for you, brother. I mean, you're all over Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Just, you know, every time I look at my Instagram feed, you got a video or something on there. Yeah. So if the people don't know who you are, they're going to now. So James, let's kick this bitch off.
Let's do it. So Felipe, man, someone who's listening to this might have been living under a rock for the past couple of years. They might not have a good background of who you are, what the things that you've been involved with. So, you know, tell us kind of where your story got started, and a little bit about yourself, and bring us quickly up to the present and kind of what you're doing today. So just give us some of that background information on you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm kind of like what I like to call an acquired taste. So like either people end up like falling in love with me, my energy, and like just love being around me, or they're like, gosh, like he's a Starbucks or a Red Bull, man. Like I can't be around that much energy. And like, that's cool. I'm not for everyone. I've learned to accept that. It took me like, now that I'm 30 to like learn I can't make everyone happy. It just is what it is. So just for your listeners, FYI, this is going to be a great, fun podcast with a lot of energy. So yeah, my parents got divorced when I was 11. Let's start with that. And that really is kind of where like, I feel like my life kind of started. Parents got divorced. We weren't like wealthy by any means when my dad was around, but definitely like in the Latino community, and not saying it's right or wrong, but like dad's worked, mom stayed home, kept home. Like that's just kind of how that rolled. So when my dad left, like boom, there goes the money. So from like one day to the next, we were like shopping at the mall for clothes. And like next week we were like, yeah, we're going to have Goodwill shorts because you can't afford that anymore. And then through the divorce, my mom ended up keeping the house. So here in the United States, not like in Mexico, like the belongings stay with the family. So boom, my mom kept the house, and we had a basement. So my mom, with her, what I call basically her last dime, converted her basement into 3-bedroom, 1 bath. So she could rent it out. So she rented it out just enough for the mortgage and the bills. So at bare minimum, we would always have light, water, probably some internet, and the house, right? Place to sleep. So that's kind of where my life started, or as far back like as I can remember. Like that's kind of like the biggest motion. But key thing is, in that I realized the power of real estate, not to create wealth, but just to stay afloat. Fast forward, went to high school, college, graduated college, and you know, my dream job was to be a police officer. Got in for like 3 days into the academy. The academy has quotas to meet, so like let's say 5 Hispanic people apply, you got to at least get 1 in, right? You can't be labeled a racist, you know, whatever, right? So I had the unlucky or lucky, however you want to look at it now that I'm older, that I had a Latina woman, Puerto Rican, who was bilingual. I had no shot. They were like, sorry, Felipe, we got enough. And I'm like, no, you're kidding me. Like legit, that's what he said. And I was like, can you say it again? I want to record it. Like, I was like, dang, like for real. Like I took it like the way that I got past like that hurt, because that really hurt me. I'm not going to lie. I went to college to be a cop like my whole life. That's what I wanted to do. That really hurt me. And I was like, dang, like that sucks. But the way that like I've coped with it, kind of, you could say, is like, I'm like, okay, hopefully the staff at their level knows best. And maybe they just didn't see something in me to be a good police officer. And like, I'll just have to accept that. Right. fast forward, I just kind of hopped around from job to job. Sorry, when I graduated high school, my mom gave me half of a mobile home. Sorry, that's important. She gave me half ownership of a mobile home, not legit half. Half of her ownership in a mobile home. That's all she had to give me after I graduated. So I just hopped from job to job after college, trying to find where I was supposed to be, like Uber, cleaning construction sites, like just random odd jobs here and there. But I still never had a mortgage. And to that day, I had never paid one. I hadn't been living at home since I was 18 because I always had a tenant in the mobile home. So I flipped the mobile home, sold it for like $10,000. And that was my down payment for my first single family home. And the rest has just been history, man. Just never stopped doing that. I got used to never paying a mortgage. So I never did. To this day, I don't believe I've ever paid a mortgage. I think my tenants have always paid my mortgage, whether it's Airbnb or my assets. Now it's just my assets that pay all my liabilities. But yeah, I mean, dude, that's a 30,000 foot view into my real estate where I'm at now. I co-owned 34 units in South Carolina, 16 unit in Augusta, 6 single families in Augusta, like where the Masters are at, Augusta, Georgia. We got 8 or 9 rentals in Nashville, Tennessee, 3 cabins in the Smokies. And man, just numbers, man. Honestly, I you forget, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now with my portfolio. I started a company called Rat Race to Financial Independence via real estate with my my business partner, Diego Corzo. Huge shout out to the man, Diego Corzo. And basically we just saw a small gap in the education space of real estate where that wasn't being represented, which was minorities. If you looked at like that one podcast, right? It was like it was like the president's white color, white, right? And it was like, dude, that's not accurate, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, not to get political, but I was like, no, dude, like that's not cool. So Diego and I started Rat Race, where everyone and anyone, and we have a podcast too, where we like interview anyone and everyone. Like we don't care, because everyone has some really cool stories out there. So that's what we did. We were like, yo, let's start Rat Race to Financial Independence, and let's bring in those people that don't see themselves as investors. Like that's not what an investor looks like. No, dude, anyone can buy real estate. This is a country of freedom, and like you can make it here too. So we did that. We started Rat Race to Fi. We have about 500 members strong now. We have like 75 within the actual mastermind, and then we have micro tribes. So think of like if you're interested in short-term rentals, like you would join the short-term rental micro tribe or the wholesaling micro tribe, or so forth and so on. So we have that. We're pretty strong there. We have some great leaders in the micro tribes. And then I got REI Call Center, which is a call center basically for wholesalers and realtors. So like, let's say that you're a realtor and your marketing budget is, I don't know, $2,000 a month or something. And like you go spend half of that at a barbershop and have your picture plastered on the TV. It's like, dude, you could get a cold caller for $1,000 a month, and we can cold call 6,000-7,000 people for you in your city. So we do that as marketing. And man, I think that's it. But I got a lot going on, so I'm sure I forgot something.
So, one thing I'm picking up on is you got a lot of balls up in the air, man. Like you're tackling a lot of things, and walk us back through kind of, how these opportunities finally came up. Are these things that kind of developed after you achieved financial independence, or were these things that created the financial independence for you? I'm trying to put into, a timeline of, when these opportunities and this creativity for building businesses really presented itself to you.
Boom. Great question, James. So I reached financial independence through the first 9 rental properties that I bought in Nashville, Tennessee. So those are my financial independence. What happened in March 2020, right when the pandemic hit, my wife looked at the Excel sheet. She's a lot smarter than I am. And she was like, yo, I'm like, what's up? She's like, the rentals cover the mortgage and the bills and the credit card. And I'm like, are you sure? She's like, you legit don't have to go to work today. And I'm like, no way. She's like, yep. I was like, done. So I quit. And that was my financial independence. But I quickly realized, James, that like financial independence is sexy and all, but like you're not rich, if that makes sense. Like you've only reached one level, and like there's still so much more out there. Like if God has given you the gift to reach FI, you're doing yourself a disservice by not keep going.
I always wondered if there's a difference between independence and like freedom, the freedom aspect kind of being the greater world, like the more you can explore and take over. And independence is almost like that first step. Like, I don't have to work. I don't have to live by someone else's terms. I'm no longer at that W-9. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Go ahead, Patrick. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, yeah, I think that that's a huge point right there, is that, financial independence and financial freedom are two completely different things. Like,
Yeah.
Once you can pay all the bills and everything else is taken care of, like, you're at level 1 now. Like, you've accomplished like level 1. If you stop there, like, some people are going to stop there and be okay with that. But I think a lot of us, want to get to those next higher levels. And a lot of it has to do with, I think, the drive behind each of us. Like, you don't seem like the type of guy that was just going to, lay up on the couch and watch Netflix and YouTube videos all day, and just sit back and enjoy. Maybe you did for a couple of weeks or the first month or something, but then you're like, man, I got all this time. I'm young. Like, I got to go out here and make some shit happen. So, for everybody out there, like, there's multiple levels to this whole financial independence, financial freedom thing. And as you get to that next level, your goals start getting bigger because you realize that you can do more. And it sounds like, you're doing a ton. So you started off Nashville, which I love Nashville, such a great city. I actually was working there from 2017 all the way up till I quit my job last year. And my biggest regret is not buying real estate there. I was buying real estate here in Maryland, but not there. I mean, wow, the appreciation, the market, so insane. So, what a great market to be in. Are any of those Airbnbs that you have in Nashville?
No. So my single families in Nashville, I just house hack them. They do pretty well as is. They do about 1,000 in cash flow. Just because I bought at the right time. I bought like sub 220 maybe, so it's pretty solid. My Airbnbs are in Gatlinburg, so like I spread it out, right? So like my financial independence, I didn't want to mix with my high risk, high reward. So my low risk, low reward FI is those houses. Then I have, high risk, high reward, short-term rental Airbnbs, about 1.2, maybe $2 million up there. And then I have the syndications, which are like my retirement. When those are, done and out, I'll probably retire off of that. So yeah, I have like, my hands in a little bit of different stuff, but strategically, of course. But yes, to answer your question, Patrick, or to piggyback off your comment, like those houses on Airbnb would probably do more and better. But once you identify your goal, Patrick, like you don't want to mix that up, right? It's like, you don't want to be like, okay, I'm going to take these off to try to make more money, because it's not about the money. When you get to the level of like financial independence and start building wealth and all that, it's more about your why. And honestly, dude, just like I have it like here tattooed on my hand, like my why is my kid. And if I'm making $9,000 a month on those properties or a little less, but I get to be at my son's soccer game every day, like, dude, I don't need 12,000 or 13,000, right? Like, what's 2,000 more dollars or 3,000 or even double it? Like, just doesn't make sense. So when I look at a deal, a lot of people will look at a deal, for example, and they'll run the numbers and run the Excel sheet and flip in all these outcomes, yada, yada, yada. But in Rat Race to Five, my mastermind, I was like, okay, cool. But now divide that by your why. Whatever number you got, divide that by your why. And does it still make sense? Is it giving you time or is it taking time away? Right. So if it doesn't fit into my criteria, which an Airbnb in Nashville wouldn't, and I'll tell you why in a minute, then I'm not going to purchase it. Right. And I'll give you an example of why. So a lot of people, when they jump into Airbnb, because it's like flashy right now, like they buy places where people travel or where people visit. Nashville is a visited state. Florida is a vacation state. Gatlinburg is vacation. Now you don't say, hey, I'm going to go visit Gatlinburg. Like, no, people go vacation in the mountains, right? Or people go vacation at the beach. People visit Nashville. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's like good money right now, but is that going to last for a long time? Maybe. Am I willing to risk my financial independence on it? No.
Well, let's talk about when you first got started into real estate. Like, it sounds like right now you've got a very nice diversified portfolio of income streams from, various types of real estate to your personal businesses. When you first started pursuing your financial independence into real estate, did it feel like you were going all in on one thing? And did it feel kind of like a risky thing to do?
Yeah, great question. So I actually started with a 6-unit apartment complex because, when I started in real estate, it took me 2 years to get my first loan because I wasn't bankable because I didn't have my job. So I was just like a self-employed. I didn't know about hard money and private money. And even if I did, I probably would have been too scared to use it. So like I saved up money for 2 years, basically. And the first thing I did when I got bankable was I put 20% down on a 6-unit apartment complex, started cash flowing $1,400, and absolutely hated my life because I was working in the business every single day. So yeah, and James, to answer your question, like I went all in, I think I had like $6,000 left in my bank account after that. It was kind of crazy. So I went all in, absolutely hated it, flipped it, sold it for a profit. And then I read a book called Life and Air, like Millionaire, but Life and Air. And in that book, the guy basically talks about like dividing it by your why. Like, what's your why? So I quickly found out that like my why was my family. So I sold it, purchased one house here in Nashville, cash $180,000. Good luck getting that now. 180,000. And I put a line of credit on it. And that one line of credit has built me millions of dollars because I didn't refinance it, which is what everyone teaches. And I'm like Robert Kiyosaki, and the fact that I'm like some of the stuff that I hear is like, that's a joke, right? Like so let me get this straight. You're telling me that if I have $100 bill, I need to go to the bank, give it to them, accept $75 back, and I got to pay them back the $75? Like, that doesn't seem smart to me. So I walked into the bank, was like, can I get a line of credit on my equity? They're like, yeah, don't you want to refinance? I'm like, no, that sounds really stupid. Can I get a line of credit on my property? They're like, yeah. So they gave me a $150,000 line of credit, purchased 2 or 3 more properties, used all the cash flow to pay off that line of credit. And then I just did that again and again and again. And I've been able to buy everything I own using that or my wholesaling business. And then I just pay off the line of credit with cash flow. And cash line of credit is kind of like bumpers in bowling, because you're only going to be able to use so much, and then you have to pay it back, right? So the biggest thing I tell people is like, look, your line of credit is like you're paying yourself back because it's your line of credit. When you refinance, you're paying back who, Patrick?
The bank.
The bank, exactly. So this is why I use the line of that same $150,000 line of credit has now multiplied into about $350,000 available credit. And I don't have to use the banks as much anymore. Like I use them for some, but not a lot.
So this is so interesting because, you know, I've been a big proponent of the Burr method, you know, I know that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
glad you said it, not me.
How I got started is from a HELOC on my primary. And then when I bought my first investment property, I took a HELOC on that and used that to buy 2 more properties. But since then, I took advantage of the low, you know, interest rates and did do the cash out refinances.
Yeah.
But this is extremely interesting. And with that, I have to, are you worried about the 10-10? So typically with the HELOC or the line of credit, you know, you get to use it for 10 years and then you have 10 years to pay it back. So when you get to that 10-year point and you're not allowed to use it anymore, is the goal to have it paid off at that point? Or are you going to refinance something else, you know, to pay that back?
Yeah, great question. So this strategy works amazing if you're going to be in real estate for any amount of time. I have 10 years to figure it out. Didn't give a shit about it my first year. Don't give a shit about it now. I can buy it cash now. I can pay it off cash now. I don't care. Like you have 10 years. If in 10 years you don't figure this game out, bro, you need to reevaluate whether you need to be in real estate. And let me tell you why people refinance, and tell me if I'm lying. You can tell me if I'm lying. They want to walk out of the bank and be like, yo, Instagram, right or wrong. With a line of credit, you can't do that. And what's funny, Patrick, is you went back to the bank and put the check right back into the bank. And guess what Felipe did in the back door? I'll take that, Patrick. Thank you. Appreciate it. Went, bought more property, and then I paid myself back. And Patrick's paying interest on my money. I ain't got to pay interest on it. Because let's say you got $100,000 out, right, Patrick? I'm going to get it the same 100,000. In 30 days, you better pay that mortgage payment on that buddy. If not, you're not going to have money for that beautiful haircut you got to do. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to use 25,000 of my line of credit on one property, and I'm only paying interest on that $25,000. See what I'm saying? So I get to use it more strategically.
No, I do. And by the way, I love your answer. For everyone out there who didn't just get that nugget bomb of I'm going to figure that shit out in 10 years. Like, yeah. I love that, because that's how I am too. I'm like, look, I'll figure that out, you know, down the road. Like by that time, I'm not going to stop. Like I'll be able to take care of it just like you. So I love that. And you got my brain like thinking so much, because
I'm sorry. I tend to do that a lot. Like I said, people love me or hate me. They end up loving me.
Well, for everyone out there, real estate is creative. You get to be as creative as possible, you know, whether it's
Agreed.
owner financing, seller carry back, HELOCs, cash out refinances, commercial loans, all of this stuff, you know. And the biggest thing, like what you've done for all of this, is you just go and figure it out, you know, like, and that's huge. But the HELOC model, I do like that a lot. And I think that's huge to have a revolving line of credit. And like you said, you only pay what you use and then you pay it back. But so my biggest thing is, how are you paying it back though? Is it through the cash flows?
Yeah.
Is it through the wholesaling?
Great question.
Like that's the thing.
Perfect question, because it's funny because everyone that I talked to about this literally asks the same questions. I knew you were going to ask that. Like I could have typed it and be like, told you, like a magician, because literally I get the same question. And I know what you're going to ask me next after that. But so the answer to answer your question, how do I pay it back, is yes, I just use the cash flow from the properties to pay it back. Remember when I told you my wife said, hey, we're financially independent?
Yeah.
Okay, that happened because of the line of credit strategy, right? So I used the line of credit, the cash flow was paying it off. And then I was working, also paying it off. So we like quickly paid it off. And she's like, you're done, right? So then we use line of credit to buy another property. So by the time you have 9, 10 properties, like that cash flow is huge. You're going to pay that line of credit down very quickly. Additionally, this is going to be another nugget. So for you guys that are listening, listen to this and get the pencil, because this is going to be really good. Pause it, go get a pencil, and then come back. I'm just kidding. You didn't pause it. I just stopped talking. They're like, what the hell?
Got it.
Anyways, so this is another nugget. People need to realize this. Real estate is 2 things. You have real estate and the business of real estate. And if you want to be financially independent, you only need one. If you want to be financially independent and wealthy, you need both. So the business of real estate is going to include flipping, wholesaling, realtor, Airbnb, active income within real estate. That is the business of real estate. Then you're going to have real estate, the investing side, cash flow. If you're an LP, a GP, limited partner, or you know, anyways, cash flow rental properties. Or if you have an Airbnb, but you have somebody managing it for you, then it becomes just regular real estate. So if you have both, you're going to be wealthy and you're going to have financial independence. So I use my business of real estate to buy my real estate. Make sense? So Patrick, to answer your question, we're going to do probably $500,000 this year wholesaling. I won't need maybe half of that to pay off my lines of credits. But I'm not going to wait for a bank to finance a deal if I find a great opportunity, which is how I've been able to scale so quickly, because I can quickly just run down to the bank, grab my line of credit, and I don't have to ask anymore. I've already done that okay? So I got told no a lot when I first started, and I blamed it on everything but myself. Oh, it's because I'm Hispanic. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. Like I could blame it on everything. And then finally one day I just was like, dude, no, this is my fault. I need to figure this out. Which is why I got the line of credit. So now I don't have to ask anymore. Going to the bank, I'm like, hey, I need $100,000 for my line of credit. The lady looks at me like I'm crazy, but she's like, okay, can't say no. Bam, hands me $100,000. I'll go put a 20% down payment on a property. If I want, I can go refinance it later to pay off line of credit if I absolutely have to, but I don't. Usually my wholesale will take care of it. The business of real estate handles my real estate.
Yeah, I think that's super valuable. I think a lot of people look at real estate and getting into it because they think it's going to be the end all be all for their financial journey. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that you need income and money coming in to buy the next deal and to really supercharge your path to getting that portfolio up and going. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a real estate business, but you need to build a business. Like that's how people get wealthy. You need something that's going to fuel all the purchases and acquisitions in the future. And, you know, I relate to that 100%. Like I left my job so I can start a business in real estate, managing properties, doing sales agent, you know, building up my own portfolio. And that's the whole strategy. You find something you can control, build, generate, create a massive ROI on, and then you put that money into real estate and just keep compounding it and recirculating it.
Yeah, 100% true. Yeah, absolutely.
That's so amazing. I mean, I absolutely love it. So I want to kind of get down into, you know, some of the numbers. You know, everybody loves numbers. So I just heard, you know, $500,000 from wholesaling. I think we've all seen the big old checks on Instagram coming from the bank, you know, flexing. So and you said $9,000 from your rentals. So it sounds like you have some syndication too. So, you know, break it down for us a little bit in regards to the Airbnbs, the syndication, and the wholesaling.
Yeah. Like you want to know like the numbers on it or whatever?
Whatever you're comfortable with sharing, you know what I mean? It's like you got a couple apartment buildings, everything else. It sounds
so
like some
the
so
34
you know, break some of that
apartment
stuff down for us.
Yeah, sorry. So the 34 unit apartment complex, I'm an LP in, that gives me $3,400 a month quarterly, plus my equity in the business and all that stuff. It sells. Like I'm going to make a hell of a lot of money for now. I make 3,400 bucks cash flow every single 3 or 4 months, whatever it is. Right. Literally, I just got my first one like this week. So super awesome. The 16 unit in Augusta, Georgia, we haven't touched any of the equity. We're repurposing the property. We're going to refinance. Everyone's going to get paid back. So that, Patrick, is a perfect time to refinance. There is specific times. See, people don't realize that. And don't let me get off track. Remind me to come back. But the refinance came from that, like those real estate moguls that refinance 60 unit apartment complex, 120. That's where the strategy came from. Refinancing a single family home like that, you're losing money, my guy. You're selling your equity. It's like when people say, don't sell your grandma's house, sell your equity. You're doing the same thing, but you do that with an apartment complex because it's vetted differently. It's vetted by the rents, not vetted. Anyways, I'll get back on track. So the 16 unit, we don't take any cash flow. We're repurposing that because we are going to do the BRRRR method on that one. The houses in Augusta, Georgia, one of them is paid off. So we get $700 cash flow on that one. Here's another perfect strategy for the BRRRR. This is another good one. So just so people aren't like, oh, he's just a hater. No, I do it. We have 4 houses in Augusta, Georgia. This is really cool. You guys are gonna like this. So we got 3 of them at 20% down, and the 4th one was basically free. And then we got a wraparound mortgage on it because the 4th one, because we put 20% down on the first 3. The last one is free with a refinance. We got all of our money back except like $9,000. So I bought 4 houses with $9,000 in Augusta, Georgia, and it still cash flows like $1,400 a month. So that's that package. The cabins are high risk, high reward. That's all over the place. Like January, we made like $400 cash flow. Last month we made, I think, like $600 or $700. And this month we're on track to make close to $1,000 each partner. And there's 3 of us. So per cabin. So it's all over the board. You don't trust those for anything, but like, to pay off your car payment or something. Like those are just kind of for fun, to flex, to say you have them, and the equity is really, really good. But it's all over the board. Like during peak season, like we're going to make hella good money, which we already did last year. And during low season, you don't make a lot of money. So we judge those based on how did it do quarterly, or sometimes every 6 months.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you got, it's so funny because we've all been scrolling through TikTok and seen those videos where it's like, hey, honey, how much money did we make off of our 2 Airbnbs, and like they're like financially free and making 30 grand a month off of, 2 Airbnbs. Yeah. And it's like, look, here's the real deal, like,
no, it's all over the place, man. It goes up and down so much. Like there's no way to judge it monthly. You wouldn't be a smart investor to judge it monthly. Oh, and then wholesaling. Sorry. So wholesaling last year, we did $78,000. And then this year we added cold callers, systems, processes. You could basically say we hired a coach. And then in the first 3 months this year, we did like 109,000. So Lord willing, we'll be on track to make $500,000 this year, which sounds like so far we're hitting those targets.
Those numbers are incredible.
Thank you.
So they sure are.
Talk to us more about your wholesaling. Like, what is your goal with that? Like, you're going to get to $500,000, and then is that kind of where you cap out? You got your systems in place, and it's a great cash flow machine. Or are you really going to try to build that out to be something bigger?
Yeah. So, like the rich people that I know say, work your business backwards. So it's like, what does a person that makes $500,000 look like? Well, he looks like he has 2 or 3 cold callers, 1 acquisitions manager, works 6 to 8. That's going to blow your mind. I only work 6 to 8 hours a week doing wholesaling, believe it or not. And I was like, okay, so that's what that looks like. Like, yeah, okay. So I told Adam, I was like, hey, how much do we have in the bank? And they're like, oh, we got like $16,000 from last year. Great. This is what we're going to do. Put the systems in place of a wholesaler that makes $500,000. Here it is. And he's like, okay, sweet. So Adam is my integrator. For those of you guys that don't know, visionary and an integrator. If you guys want to ask me about that, we'll talk about that after this. Okay. So he's my integrator. I'm like, Adam, do this, do. And that's how we're going to be on target. So most people want the results that they haven't put the work in for. So I work my business backwards. I have to put in the work to get the results. So I paid cold callers. I started the company REI call center. So I have the cold callers, the acquisitions managers. And that's how we're on track to do that. So I'll give you the 30,000 for the view. So I go to propstream.com, send me an Instagram link or send me a DM on Instagram. I'll give you the link. Go to propstream.com and I pull a list, just a list in Tennessee of whatever I want. And I pull, let's say 6,000 phone numbers. I go over to skipbetter.com and I skip trace it for 11 cents. I get a whole list skip trace and I get people's phone numbers. I then upload it to REI call center where my cold callers are at. And they call it all month. Hey, would you like to sell? Hell, would you like to sell? Whatever, right? We got like a 12 question script. The people that say yes, then those people are uploaded to my Asana, my CRM. And then I go in there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 11. And I call those leads with Adam on Zoom, just like this. And he's integrating all the systems and I'm talking and we're just boom, 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 locking up deals left and right. But I don't have to go through the hay to get the needle. My cold callers do that for me.
Well, I
you're
think
the
that's
closer.
valuable. You're building the business. You're not building the job, and that's
No,
where
it's definitely a business for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're delegating everything, and that's where your visionary aspects come into everything. So let's chat a little bit about that, and your personality type, how you identified that. You've got big goals, lofty ambitions, and you're able to put those ideas into the ether and kind of make those people gravitate towards you, who are going to help make those dreams become a reality. So let's talk a little bit about that visionary integrator relationship that you have in your businesses.
Sure. So Diego Corzo, my business partner, challenged me to read a book called Rocket Fuel. Anyone listening, I challenge you to read it. I do a lot of business on with partnerships. So you know how you're always told, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with partners or something like that, however the saying goes. Do you guys know the saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You got it right.
So I think that's BS. I think you can go fast and far with the right business partner, because I have in every one of my business. I have the Midas touch when it comes to that part. And for those people that are going to be in your comments, oh, he's a douche, he's egotistical. No, I just know the systems to win. And once you figure it out, you can apply that to life, to anything, and whether it's your relationships, whether it's your life. Like, once you understand the concept of winning, which is just put in the work, get the reward. So I think you can go fast and far with a business partner if you have the right systems in place. So we read a book called Rocket Fuel, and it was like, holy crap, like the first half of this book is me. I am the visionary. Like, I can cast vision on an idea. I can do this. I can tell you, blah, 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 blah. But the moment you tell me to integrate it and do it, it's like, I have no idea how. And this is why a lot of people get burnt out, because they have the vision and then they try to also integrate it, and it never works out that way. So they're like, forget this, and they never get nothing done. So if you're out there in the universe and you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, or you're just running on a hamster wheel, it's probably because you are an integrator trying to do both, or you're a visionary trying to do both. You're just gonna like freak yourself out. There's a reason there's two of you guys on this podcast. It's a reason you're not doing it alone. So I realized that. I was like, oh, I'm a visionary. Diego's an integrator. Adam's. So I attract integrators. The integrators are going to be attracted to visionaries, and visionaries are going to be attracted to integrators. And typically it looks like an A student in high school and a D student in high school. Those are probably integrators and visionaries that should connect. Bro, I got C's and D's in high school, same in college, but my bank account says different now, right? But it's because I have an integrator. I couldn't do this alone. My wife's an integrator, right? So like, all that to say, like, if you're out there and like you're just feeling stressed, or you're on the hamster wheel, you don't feel like you're going anywhere, it's probably because you're trying to do both. Now, I say that with the little caveat or the little asterisk on top. There is people that can do both. Those are the Elon Musks, the Zuckerbergs, those people of the world that can cast vision and integrate.
Well, I guess this all comes back to identifying your why and working backwards from that. Like, if you want to be the Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, you're going to burn yourself out. Probably you're going to sacrifice a lot of things along the way. But you can definitely, find a way to tackle all those things by yourself. But, it might be a fruitless endeavor for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge. I know for myself, I'm definitely a visionary, and I do have trouble, doing everything, because I feel like I'm the one that, does it all, because I see, you see the future, like you got the big picture, like my head's in the clouds and my wife keeps my feet on the ground. I think that's just like you. So that's so huge. I'm definitely buying Rocket Fuel for sure. I got to get that, because I'm kind of at that point in my business as well, where it's like I'm getting to that next level, and I know the push forward is going to be through partnerships and finding somebody else to help carry that load. So yeah, I think that's huge for everybody out there. Rewind that, listen to it, because that's another giant nugget that I think is going to help a ton of people.
Thank you.
So James, where are we at?
What do you want to do? You want to do the So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Felipe, you're on your path and you're building something incredible here. Have you walked through some of those obstacles that you're facing on your path to achieving, all the success that you're going to, achieve eventually? So like you're envisioning yourself and where you're going. Like, what are your major obstacles in your business and getting to where you're going?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that I rarely get asked for some reason on podcasts, so I always end up saying it, is like, what is your passion? Everyone thinks my passion is real estate, and it's kind of not. My passion is teaching real estate to get people financial independence and get their time back. Dude, I don't know who said that money doesn't bring happiness, but they weren't right. Money is great. Like, I get to skip the line. My family has the best of the best. Like, my son is happy. Like, dude, this is awesome. So I want to teach people how to get that. So my like big, audacious, hairy goal, or whatever the word for it is like, I want to create 100 millionaires. Like, that's my goal. Like, that's legit. And I'm on the path to do that. I've done that a couple of times already. I've helped a lot of people. My goal is 100 millionaires. But with that, to answer your question, like, the biggest struggle that I have is like, I don't even know how to say it. Like if I don't meet someone's expectation when they meet me, it's like when you meet a rock star, you're like, oh my gosh, like flipping A, like you have this vision or this thing about them. And then you meet them and like, maybe they're just regular people. And you're like, oh, he's not a superhero. So I tend to run into that sometimes, like just haters, I guess you could say, or Felipe is a scammy guy. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it for free, right? Like, you want me to sit down with you and teach you how to make $500,000. You don't make $500,000. There's no, you don't make $500,000. I want to teach you, but I'm not going to do it free, right? What do you mean it's $10,000 for a one-on-one coaching for a year? Dude, that's
$800 a month, man. That's $800 a month.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so like, I get, James, I'm being transparent here. Like, those are the hardest things where it's like, oh, dude, he's a scam, like yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay, why'd you ask? Like, I could be doing something else. It's like you said, it's $800 a month. Like, if you can't afford that, then right now you need to focus on a higher income job than where you're at.
Well, I think at the end of the day, anyone in our roles who's just trying to put out information to do good and do better, you can only help those who are willing to help themselves. And, a lot of these people, for the majority of the time, are probably going to be, just left struggling because they're in denial, they're in doubt, and it ultimately comes down to a mindset. And I'm sure you've recognized this, tens of thousands of times, and everyone you come across, people, for sure are going to listen to this episode. They're going to walk away with a lot of good knowledge, but something they're not going to walk away with is action. And, the balls to go do the things that are risky and just kind of believe in themselves. So I think that's kind of a distinguishing factor with some of these people who just end up becoming haters and wanting to, complain and moan all the time. So,
but it kind of gets to you, like, as a person in the spotlight, because like, if your goal and passion is to create 100 millionaires via real estate, showing people how to do it, the moment someone that's like, if people want to like hurt me, like, that's where they can poke, and it's like the easiest spot, if that makes sense.
Right.
No, it totally makes sense. And I also, do you find it funny that, I mean, I know you put out a lot of great content, and, so do I, but people, they ask the same questions over and over and over again. They're not really paying attention to the content you're putting out there. And I'm sure everything that you do, and a lot of the stuff that you provide in the coaching and mentoring, you've given away for free.
Oh yeah.
But
100%.
Do you find sometimes that people don't really absorb it or actually take action until they have a, financial interest in it? You know what I mean? It's like, once they actually pay or put the money down, then it's like they're absorbing the information and actually doing something with it.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly believe that social media is 90%, and then you're supposed to sell the last 10%. And I don't mean an upsell for the weirdo that's going to make a comment on that comment. It's more like, hey, this is how you wholesale. This is how you do it. This is how this is how you do that. This is okay, Felipe. So how do I skip trace the list? Okay, go to skiptrace.com and it's 11 cents a skip. Oh, I got to pay for it. Well, yeah, dude, like, I'm not going to pay your list for you. Oh, you're a scam. Well, okay, I'm a scam. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I get 100% what you're saying. Dude, you could become a millionaire off of my social media. I literally give out, I gave it out right now. Prop stream, skip trace, cold caller, Asana. That's it. Once we jump off this recording, guys, I will show you everything that I just said. Like, there's no, literally, you could become a millionaire off of social media nowadays, right? It used to be called like the entertainment of social media. It's slowly changing to the education of social media.
Right.
Exactly. And then there's people out there that, you know, put it all in courses and, you know, slang it for $200, $300, $400, $1,000. And it's the same information for everybody out there. Everything that you want to learn is being presented to you for free. All you really have to do to figure out if it works or not is go take some fucking action. Just go do it. That's what everyone here, the three of us, did. We went and actually tried it out. And that's why we're here talking to you, trying to help you guys out. So
There's some tough love.
It is
tough love, but go fucking do something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit here and watch as we build, you know, a beautiful and great life and try to help as many people out and sit on the sidelines and not do anything. So, I mean,
it's
that's
true.
just
I
huge.
always tell people, like, don't use me as entertainment. That would be like the most disrespectful thing you can do. Use me as actionable steps. That's what I would want you to do.
Yeah, and you got to put out entertaining content, you know, to
Sure.
reach the masses to
I'm not saying it's
accomplish
not
your
entertaining.
goal.
I'm saying don't entertain yourself with it. It is entertaining, but use it as actionable steps versus just don't scroll on my IG for an hour. That would be a slap in the face for me. Go scroll, watch 3 things, go put it in place. Go scroll, watch 3 things and put it in place.
Be intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So so that's the biggest obstacle right now. No other obstacles regarding, you know, your business or anything else. You're like, hey, I don't see him. When an obstacle comes, I just blow through it. We just figure it out. So
yeah. So no, man. And like, I'm blessed in that regard, that I've learned at a younger age that's you're going to fail to your systems and processes. So as something comes, we create a system and process beside it so that it never happens again.
That's huge. That's huge. So what does your team look like right now? Is it that's just the wholesaling, but in regards to, you know, managing all of the Airbnbs and the rentals and everything else, what does Felipe's team look like? You know, that's helping with all that.
Oh, dude, I got a whole football team behind me, man. If anyone thinks you're doing this by yourself, you're lying. I'm just the one in front of the camera. Behind the camera, there's 12 other people, right? Like, there is no way that I'm doing this by myself. And if anyone tells you they are, they're lying. Everyone's got a whole ass team behind them. So my property manager for my Airbnbs, huge shout out to Diana. She is real STR on IG, Diana Oseruego. Good luck spelling it. She's awesome. She manages my Airbnbs, crushing it. My mom actually manages my properties in Nashville. I try to retire her. A lot of people are like, I want to retire my parents. And I tried that. My mom kind of laughed at me. She's like, yeah, no, I'm going to die if I just retire. She was like, pay me to manage your properties. I was like, done. Great. So that's what she does. We have property managers in Georgia and South Carolina where our properties are at. Yeah, I got managers for everything, man. And then, for example, REI Call Center, I'm the founder of the call center, but I have a CEO. He owns 60% of the company. Me, Diego, and my other friend own 20%. So we can veto his vote, but he makes the day-to-day decisions. He is my CEO. He reports to all of us. We report to each other, you could say. But I'm not in the day-to-day of that. Diego and I are passionate about Rat Race to Fi. We meet Mondays and Wednesdays, and that's my team with him. Me and him love teaching and showing people how to, reach financial independence via real estate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
and what's huge on that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James.
no, you're good.
I was going to say what's huge on that. If you hear, you had to build the foundation and put in the work to now be able to do your passion project, which is to create 100 millionaires. So
Yes.
for everybody out there, like, sometimes you got to wade through the shit, to be able to finally do what you want to do. And it takes a team. You're not the only horse pulling the cart. So kudos to you, man. Kudos
Thanks,
to
bro.
you.
So let's talk a little bit more about your goal to create 100 millionaires. And, I'm sure that comes in large part to the community that you're building, like you're, through the masterminds and things like that. Tell us a little bit about how that works on the back end. Someone becomes involved, they want to better themselves. They want to fold into your goal of becoming, a millionaire themselves. Tell us about that mastermind organization and the community that you're building up there.
Yeah, Rat Race Defy is an awesome community. I love like all of our members. We have a pretty high success rate as well as like a show up rate. I think we have like 80 students at the moment, and we typically have right at about a little bit over 70 that show up every single Monday and every single Wednesday. So Rat Race Defy is on, basically what we do is on Mondays, we have like office hours. Like I don't remember, or like if your listeners went to college or not, like your professor had office hours where you could go ask questions. That's what our Mondays is. You just come in informal. People are, having having some wine, having a beer. And we just talk, dude. We just talk about real estate and like bring a deal. Let's look at a deal. Let's devour a deal, like the whole bit. And that's it. Like that's what Rat Race is on Mondays. And then we do breakout rooms. So every breakout room, you're going to be randomly put into a room with other members within the mastermind to create community with other people. Oh, hey, we were in the, like my goal is this. Where are you at? So like just building, or realtors, wholesalers, like within the community, they can communicate and just like build relationships. And then on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, we have a speaker come in who is a professional in fill in the blank, whether it's taxes, wholesaling, realtors, whatever, to come bring some knowledge to Rat Race. And that's what we do on Wednesdays. And we do this every single week, twice a week, all year long. Now, the biggest problem that Rat Race has, you asked me what I have, the biggest problem that my mastermind has is shiny object syndrome. So and I can't we can't do anything about this, to be honest. It would be a disservice if I didn't bring this, but we bring real estate professionals in wholesaling and in Airbnb and this and that. And like, people are like, oh my gosh, like I want to do that. I want to do this. Like they want to do all of it. And we try our best to be like, look, don't do all of it. Just pick one that you like and go with it. But unfortunately, that also happens too, right? They're like, and there's no upsell allowed in Rat Race. So like anyone we bring in, they're not allowed to sell their course. They're not allowed to do any of that. It's completely either you're here with a passion to serve and give away knowledge for free. Anything outside of that, you can't do that in Rat Race. So there's no upsell in any class. A lot of these masterminds are like selling you the next course, the next big thing. Like none of that happens in Rat Race. Additionally, this is going to blow your mind. Rat Race Defy is $4,000 a year. So you get over 120 something calls a year with me and Diego Corzo live Monday and Wednesday, every single night. My wife knows Mondays and Wednesday nights I'm on here. It's $4,000 a month. Like it is literally the cheapest mastermind I know in the universe. It's crazy.
So do you have anybody that's doing this locally, or is it all remote over Zoom?
Most is remote over the States. Yeah. Over the whole United States. We have people in California and we have people everywhere. There's like local meetups that happen.
Right.
Yep.
And he messed up and said 4,000 a month, but it's 4,000.
Oh, sorry, 4,000 a year. My bad.
Yeah, no, said it first.
Yeah, it's 4,000 a year.
Well, what he didn't say is that when everyone's going from 1 million to 100 million, then it might become $4,000 a month. So
no, it's like $4,000 a year, dude. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like it pays for like Zoom and our speakers and like some stuff that we have. But that's why I told you earlier, Patrick, when you were asking me about like, should you do a course, or a lot of people reach out to you about one-on-one. I'm like, dude, unless you really have a passion for this, like, don't do it.
Yeah, I know that's huge. I mean, you break it down. I mean, that's like $70 a week or something like that. That's $35 a call.
Don't go out to dinner one time.
That's per person. So yeah, I mean, that's huge. Well, I love that there's an obstacle right there, and it's the people taking action, So man, that's crazy. Well, I think the last thing we kind of want to get in before, we get into our last segment is, what the hell does Felipe do, when he's not doing all this? Like, what are your hobbies, man? What do you do with your family? Like, let's crack that shield a little bit.
Yeah. So my son plays soccer. I think today will be the first time I missed any of his practices to be on this podcast. So good job, Patrick and James.
Making us.
No, my son plays soccer and he is super, super active. So we're always outside playing. We're always doing something with him. He's an awesome kid, and he's my only one. So he's got all my attention, whenever I'm not working. I love to go to the gym. I'm not the fittest guy. I'm not like thin and whatever, but dude, I just love, like, that's the best. I don't have like alcohol or drugs or whatever. Like for me, it's the gym. Like when I go there, get an hour and a half and just bang it out. Like I just love that. And then, I got my wife and we hang out every Wednesday is like our date day before Rat Race. My son gets picked up from school by my mom. She brings him home at like 7. Rat race starts at 8. So like me and my wife basically have all day Wednesday to just kind of go walk the park, go have lunch, go have dinner. And we love that. Our Wednesdays is our day together. And the rest is just kind of running my businesses. And I love what I do. Being a visionary and getting pulled 17 different ways is just the way I work. If that wasn't happening, I would drive myself crazy.
Well, it definitely sounds like you got a firm foundation and, core life built, and you're focusing on those things. You're not letting things like too much like this podcast. I know we're taking some of your time from your son, but
no,
you're really solidifying, the family time. And I
Yeah.
think that's what important. A lot of people think, they just have to focus 100% on work, but that's not what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody thinks it's all about the money. And in the beginning, I think sometimes it is. But really, at the end of the day, it's that time freedom. And that's the difference between financial independence, financial freedom. It's time freedom to do as you please. And you choose to want to be pulled in 17 different directions. But you make time for your family and you have it. So
sure.
That's amazing. Well, Felipe, we're going to get into our last section of the podcast. Now, we call this one the Big Four. So, James, take it away, my man.
Felipe, so what's something that you do that kind of feels like a cheat code or a hack for your path towards financial independence?
Oh, what? Okay. What is something that I do that feels like a cheat code towards my financial? Okay, this is a big one. I got a huge one. People are going to think this is really funny. Okay. So I don't spend any money on toys for my son. And
that sounds crazy.
This is how. We go to Target, and none of this is illegal. My buddy is actually corporate of Target, and he told me it was okay. He goes, well, people are going to look at you a little funny, but yeah, that's fine. Like, okay, great. So we found out that there's 2 hacks. You can go to Target and buy a toy for your son. And when he wants another one, you just return it and get a new one. So I have never bought my son a toy. So we always just return the toy that he's played with. Like, all right, Miko, if you want another one, we got to return the one you got. And he's like, okay, grabs his toy, put it back in the box. And it's a whole adventure. Like we put the toy in the box, we put it back together, we get in the car together. Like we have, it's just our time together. We go to Target, we return it, and then we get another one. And that's it. Like
that's incredible. Toy hacking. I didn't even know that was possible.
No one does. I don't know why either. It's just, I think, and here's the thing. I think it's not culturally acceptable here. Like it's weird. Like, oh, he must be poor. He's got to return the toy. I don't know. I just feel like people are weird about it. I'm like, every time I go to Target, I've done it for like a while now. Like, is anything wrong with the toy? Nope. Okay, thanks.
They put them kind of like Costco. They'll return anything. You could wear like a pair of shoes for like a year and then return them to Costco.
Jack and Jill, the brand from Target for the kids, you can return that at any point too. So you buy your kid clothes, he outgrows it. If it's got a rip in it, no, it doesn't matter. You return it, they'll give you a new one.
Now that's a hack right there.
Yep, and you literally just get the next size up.
So you don't have to buy your kids toys and clothes anymore. That's how you can buy your next property. That's huge. That is such really a crazy.
People spend thousands of dollars on toys a year.
That's such a crazy life hack.
What do you think is going to happen in Christmas, bro? I'm going to spend $1,000 on toys and then return them in February.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, whatever works. And that's fantastic. So this next one we call is resources. So I know you've mentioned a few, but are there any books, podcasts, or people that have really shaped, your financial journey as well as helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Books for sure. So Life and Air, Rocket Fuel, Your Next 5 Moves, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer by Robert Kiyosaki, and obviously the GOAT, the book, right? The Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then my mom, right? I grew up with a single mom, and she was a hustler, dude. She was a shark. She showed me everything I know. She cleaned houses her whole life, and to this day she does because she wants to now, I guess. I don't know. But like she would be cleaning houses and she'd have her helper, and her helper would finish that in the last 30 minutes. She would walk up and down the street, just giving her little business card, telling people, hey, I cleaned that house. And they would like, oh, can you clean our house too? Like, so my mom was a shark, man.
Well, I think that's an
doing door-to-door sales.
Oh yeah, dude. Best time.
a lot of people come up in households, maybe not the most wealthy, rich families, but a lot of times there's that one family member that just hustles. And they might not have found that one key to generating wealth, from that hustle, but that hustle, if you can kind of incorporate that into your life and apply it correctly, can be a skill that will go, exponentially beneficial to you in the future.
Oh, for sure.
That's awesome. All right. So this next one, we call it the future you. So it's 5 years in the future. What does Felipe's life look like? So tell us a little bit, either on a personal side or business side, or maybe even both, what your life looks like in 5 years.
So Felipe's got like an 8-pack, flipping, eating burritos. Like, no, I'm just kidding. That was funny. Patrick laughed. He got red. Honestly, I think we're going to build a house in Daytona where my wife's parents are. My portfolio is as stabilized as it can be. Honestly, man, like my 5 years, like what I am now. I'm not like, I don't want a bunch more. I think the systems and processes I've created organically grow now, if that makes sense. Like it's just a well-oiled machine. If the deal works and my wholesaling, oh my gosh, I can't preach this enough. The business of real estate will feed your real estate. So like in a wholesale, I'm like, oh dude, that's a great deal. I'm just going to keep that. Right. Like I don't have to go out and look for deals anymore. They just come to me through my business and I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep that one. Oh, I should keep that one. Yeah, that's a great deal right there. That lady's selling it at 50% off. I'm going to take that one. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, it's kind of just letting the systems grow by themselves. So what am I going to be like in 5 years? Then multiply what happened this year times 5.
Love it. Great answer. I love it. I love it. What's funny is like the last like 3 guests that we've had, when we asked them that question, they like broke it down for us like in their day. And they were like, this is what my day was going to be like. And you started off like, Felipe is going to have an 8-pack and I'm just going to be eating burritos all day. And I was like, holy shit, this is like the 4th one in a row. This is hilarious.
That's so funny.
All right, Felipe. Well, the last question, most important, is how do our listeners get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to reach out, get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So James actually gave me your cell phone number prior to this. So you can call Patrick anytime. No, I'm just kidding. You can reach me, dude, on Instagram. I'm super active on there. Just Felipe Mejia, REI. That's it. You can find me on Instagram and you can DM me. And I'm super passionate about helping people do what they do. Don't hit me up about, can I pick your brain? Oh my gosh, because you're just giving me a job. Bring me a solution to a problem you might think I have. And then we're definitely going to connect. But if you just are like, hey, can I just pick your brain? Like that's not the right way, in my opinion, to like reach a mentor or try to get some help. Maybe bring me a funny meme or something, right? Like, I don't know, like just be a normal person too. Don't be weird. Other than that, dude, I reply to all my DMs personally, all of them.
That's how we got him on this podcast, guys.
Ooh.
I might have had to reach out like 3 or 4 times, but he did respond each time. There was a scam. If you look back on our DMs, the first one was a guy trying to invest with me and said he was investing with you. So I sent you a screenshot and you're like, I don't fucking know that guy. So
yeah, sorry. It just kind of comes with the package.
I'm
sure somebody will fall for it and blame me. So it just is what it is.
Exactly. Well, reach out to him on Instagram. If you haven't already, make sure to leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, Google, all that shit. Go check out Felipe's podcast. Go follow James on Instagram. He only has like 400 followers.
We're getting there.
And, go follow Felipe. He needs to hit 25 or whatever you're at now. So we'll catch you guys later. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Real FI podcast, where you learn from the investors that have lived the hard lessons for you. To connect with us during your pursuit of financial independence, be sure to join our community by following us on Instagram or emailing us at info@therealfi.com. If this content made you financially, mentally, physically, or spiritually richer, please make sure to leave us a positive review on your preferred content platform. Cheers to kicking the 9 to 5.